Welcome in. Thanksgiving edition of the Cash Process. We got the CEO himself, AC, back on the pod. It's been a few weeks. Anthony, how you been doing? How you been doing in DFS the last few weeks?
Yeah, thanks, man. Happy Thanksgiving week. This is always one of the best where we get to eat a lot of food on Thursday and DGen football, baby. I mean, is there anything better? That's the equation, Ben. Yeah, life's good. Got the little girl running around in the background. Hopefully, not too loud here today. But had a couple good weeks. I had that massive tournament win like 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. I think I lost one or two slates in a row, but I have hit really well in cash games the last couple of weeks. It's kept me kind of alive, right? I mean, you and I talked right before the podcast. I felt like the last 2 weeks were pretty straightforward in terms of making quote unquote the best builds, best lineups, and beat your opponents in head to heads and single entries and double ups. And you're generally going to, at the very worst, break even. That's kind of how I like to do things. I know, Ben, that's kind of how you like to do things. You had a little unique 2v2 if you want to talk about versus kind of my Murray Moore build, which what I thought was pretty popular as well. And you actually passed us at the last second, which goes to show you guys, like, for example, defense. I hate that position in DFS, but Ben made just a little quick tweak. And then his quarterback was a little bit different, and he passed a lot of people at the end of the slate. He was already cashing in cash games, but you can take home a lot more dollars in tournaments because my lineup was doing well in tournaments. I know Ben had to go next level considering he passed us. So why don't you talk about that move alone, Ben, and how getting unique is always helpful for cash games? And then we'll talk about this slate, some pivots and stuff, and then we'll do a separate main slate breakdown, I believe, later in the week.
Yeah, I said on last week's video, there's going to be 2 videos this week. So if you guys want main slate, that'll be out later in the week. We'll also have the stream on Sunday morning. This video, we're going to cover the 3-game slate on Thanksgiving. But yeah, it was a good week 11 for me. I told everyone on the stream on Sunday morning, I said I felt really, really good about the slate. So I was like, if you guys are going to sign up, I would recommend signing up because I just felt really good about my lineups. And yeah, I crushed both sites. FanDuel did really good. I actually had Saquon Barkley in my cash lineup on FanDuel. And I think I didn't play it in this, but a couple of our subscribers, they came like top 30 in one of the big single entry tournaments on FanDuel with my cash lineup, thanks to Saquon. DraftKings, yeah, I did 2v2 off of the chalk eater lineup. I had Brock Purdy in my lineup instead of Kyler. And yeah, I was winning like $300 profit. And then when Purdy went off, I got up, I almost made like 1,000. So that was a big difference. Just tweaking Kyler to Purdy. And it was a good week for me, good week for subscribers. A couple other of our cores cashed as well. I know Matt had a good week for the people that tail his core as well. And we'll have cores up on Thanksgiving. We also have a 4-day free trial. So if you guys sign up, this will be active up until Friday night. You can take advantage of this. I would recommend signing up on Thursday morning. So you get the 4-day free trial Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just go to dfskarma.com/thanks if you want to sign up for the month of DFS cores. You get my cores for basketball, all sports, NBA, NFL Showdown, and then that'll carry you through the Thanksgiving slate, Thanksgiving Showdown. We have Showdown on Friday with the Dolphins game. Obviously, we have the main slate on Sunday, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, all that good stuff. So go sign up for that. Anthony, I guess we can head into this 3-game slate,
Yeah,
starting off at quarterback here. So I don't know. I feel like usually in years past, I feel like these have been like it's always fun because it's Thanksgiving, but I feel like they've been grosser slates because
yeah.
the Lions have always been terrible and they're always on the slate and it's always like Lions, Bears, like two teams that suck. The Lions are good this year. So obviously we have that game and then the Cowboys have been smashing everybody. The Washington Commanders, they're not very good in real life, but they're fun for fantasy. And then the night game, I mean, Seattle, San Francisco, that's a really fun game too. So there's actually a lot of good plays I feel on the slate. And I think it's going to be a really good slate for like 3-entry max type
Yeah,
contests.
this is honestly an amazing Thanksgiving slate. I mean, not to just pour gasoline on this. I don't recall a better Thanksgiving slate. Just looking at it, at least famous last words. Each game's going to end like 16-10. But I did want to point out a couple things real quick, Ben, since like you said, AKA CEO hats on. I haven't been on here in a few weeks. Um, just having your cores alone, we appreciate you guys. A lot of you guys have watched us for several years. Like, I think Ben and I have been doing this for 7 years. This has been my worst participation year. But again, like I said, I'm going to be on more regularly again. It was just first half of the season here, a lot of travel and stuff going on with my daughters. A lot of you guys know. But Ben and them do an incredible job where I don't even need to know what's going on for a certain sport. I can hop in and just check their cores. And if I'm bored and I want to tail something at night, whether it's an NBA core or college or whatever they're doing, I can just see what they're doing because they did the work. So honestly, it pays for itself. But we're doing it for free this week. Again, take advantage, like Ben said. And then also, I'm looking at betkarma.com, Ben. Every time I'm on here, I can't stress enough. This is like one of the biggest things that I use each week for even my DFS purposes. I mean, I'm going through the live trends, I'm going through the props, our money line predictor, our total predictor. We have all kinds of tools that have come over and have been built by Travis and our dev team over the last several years. And a lot of the stuff is free, but obviously we have some premium stuff that we would love, love, love for you guys to check out. I mean, all our growth continues to be at betkarma.com, and there's a lot going on. Yes, it's sports betting and props, but I use that research for DFS as well, if that makes sense. And I know you do too, Ben. So I just wanted to point that out while we're on here. Um, to your point, I'm looking at the live trends tool right now, and the totals in the Lions Packers game and the Cowboys Commanders game is very high, with a lot of money coming in on the over in both of those games. And these tools are pretty spot on. I mean, if there's a lot of money on the under and we're pointing that out, it's generally the case. So there will be a fantasy bonanza going on. To start at quarterback, Ben, like you said, just the way the rest of my roster, me and you did a little build, at least I did before we got on the podcast. Listen, I don't think he's going to be really the guy at all on this slate, but I feel like Jordan Love makes a lot of sense then, again, for cash games, because it is enough of salary savings, it looks like this week on the board, to let you build what I think is the optimal build in quote unquote cash games. Again, air quotes, because it's a 3-game slate. I think I'm starting with Jordan Love. It's a dome game. It's a game with a lot of fantasy points implied here, and that's what I'm looking at, right? So I don't know what you're thinking early on here and where your pivots will be.
Yeah, so like I said, in years past, I feel like that there's been like maybe two quarterbacks I want to play. Like we've had Thanksgiving slates with like David Blau starting for the Lions. Like there have been some truly bad Thanksgiving slates. I like all these quarterbacks. Dak has been absolutely smashing. I have an MVP ticket on Dak Prescott at pretty decent odds. Obviously the nut matchup against Washington. Washington's been just horrible. Against quarterbacks, against receivers. Obviously, Dallas at home has been smashing teams. So Dak looks good. Goff is always good at home. I know he had a bad game last Sunday with three picks, but I mean, you feel pretty confident in Jared Goff usually getting you the bonus and at least a touchdown or two at home in Detroit. Sam Howell's been great for fantasy. Brock Purdy's been great for fantasy. Jordan Love has some upside as well. Geno, if he's healthy, you could maybe consider him, but he's probably my least favorite of all of them. But I think all these quarterbacks are good plays. I'll definitely be playing probably 3 teams. I think Dak's my favorite, just first look at the slate, but I haven't built anything yet.
He'll be the highest owned, probably,
yeah,
just because it's been
certainly,
especially with the Commanders and their passing rate and all that jazz, which is why I kind of like Love even more, because at the end of the day, the quarterback score points. Like, I know it's the lamest, analysis in the world. Worst case scenario, the difference between Love and Prescott this week, I don't know. I mean, Love is starting to show something a little bit. They're going to be scoring points. I mean, what is it, 5 to 8 points potentially? Like, yes, Dak does have those weird ceiling games at times where, again, Love can still produce. And I really like this build that I built before a podcast. So I think I'm sticking with him in my main lineup. I'll probably have Prescott in a second. Gun to head, Ben, man, it's tough. I want to go Howell in my third lineup if I'm making 3 max just for that environment, but I might lean on your boy Goff. I don't know. Just seems so good, so safe at home. So
yeah. I mean, dude, Purdy's been great too. Look at his game log. I mean,
I know,
29 DraftKings points last week. Even in these games like Cincy, he didn't play very good. He was still dealing with that concussion stuff. Still had 24. And then obviously 24 again against Jacksonville. So I don't know. There's a lot of good quarterback plays. I'll have to decide throughout the week. Obviously, I'll have my article up for Thanksgiving Day on Wednesday at some point, so you guys can check that out as well once I finalize more who I'm playing. We can move on to running back. So there is some for it being a 3-game slate. There's a good amount of injury stuff that we'll be waiting on. It looks like to me, Kenneth Walker will not be playing. Aaron Jones will not be playing. AJ Dillon looks like he will play. Rico Dowdle, I'm assuming, will play. And Antonio Gibson, I think, will play this week. So that's how I would be handling the injury news. The first thing that I guess we'll talk about that sticks out, Zach Charbonnet is 5,300. So he's going to be the Seahawks lead back without Kenneth Walker. Obviously, it's a really tough matchup here against San Francisco, but I told Anthony before the podcast, Zach Charbonnet has a really good receiving profile back in college. Caught 37 passes his last year at UCLA. He caught 6 passes last week. He also is he has the most touches in the NFL without scoring a touchdown. So you would feel that maybe some touchdown regression could be coming his way. He has juice. Like, I don't think he's bad. And he's 5,300. It's like a really, really bad matchup, but someone that I presume is a good player. So we have to figure out what to do with that. I'm sure he'll be pretty chalky. So for me personally, like, is Charbonnet even at ownership? I'd much prefer to AJ Dillon for $100 more. If Aaron Jones is out, like, I just like Charbonnet more. AJ Dillon, fine for tournaments. McCaffrey, I mean, he's going to be really, really high owned on this slate. Can't go wrong with him. Tony Pollard, for me, I was fading him, and then I played a lot of him last week. This slate, I'll probably play less of him if I had to guess. But we'll wait and see. And then for tournaments, the Lions guys look really good to me. I don't know. You can talk about that a little bit, but both Gibbs and Montgomery are good tournament plays, I think, on this slate.
Man, Gibbs is just like every week. I'm like, why didn't I play more of him in DFS?
Is such a good play, I think. Yeah.
The core I gave out, again, you've known, Ben, over the years, you and I basically for years put out essentially almost the same cash core. You're literally the cash freaking king at this point. So I've kind of gotten away from our core. So I'd like to provide one of my best tournament rosters that I feel is necessary. And they had a really good core again this week for our customers. And man, I debated Gibbs and I ultimately went ETN in the flex, and it hurt me. Like, I would have cashed nicely, but I came off of Gibbs and I was honestly pissed. Like, I cannot believe I did it. I thought ETN was like this safety valve and I had the extra money, but man, Gibbs just seems so safe. Like, on any slate, he just gets there somehow now. He's the new Alvin Kamara, right? I mean, that's just to me what I see. On the other hand, inversely speaking, Ben, even though he scored last week, I am so sick of Tony Pollard. I think he is still better than probably even our little bubble that we live in thinks. But man, I feel like I'm getting burnt by him weekly. Like, he barely got there last week again, right? Like, I was like, why did I play this guy in like half my tournament rosters or almost all of them? I mean, that was a dumb mistake. But again, he kind of got there to at least hit value. But look, in my non-DAC team, it's a lock that my Pollard's going to be in my 3-max entry. Like, you can't not have exposure to him. And then last thing I'll say is, I mean, Brian Robinson somehow, some way, always gets there. He's got to be in at least one of your 3 rosters this week in 3-max entry. Like, you just can't not play him.
Yeah, I agree about Gibbs. I don't know. As of now, I really like Gibbs, but we'll see when I start building teams. Much prefer Gibbs to Pollard if it's tournaments, especially because I'm sure Pollard is going to be high owned if I had to guess.
I didn't even say CMC, but I mean, come on.
Yeah,
CMC,
I mean, you have to play CMC.
Play him, play him if you can in your main lineup, and then maybe
I'll play him
fade
in cash, and we'll see about tournaments. If I can fit him, I don't know. It's going to come down to how you build.
Damn, that's the thing, Ben. Like, if we, again, I'm talking out loud before we go to wide receivers. If we are paying up for CMC and cash games, and we're making like a really good 3-max build, and we're giving ourselves a shot. Damn, the more I think about it, like, we almost need a Brock stack without CMC because I mean, what if? I mean,
you can play him with CMC though too. I feel like because he does catch touchdown. Like, he caught a touchdown last week, so you could just do the thing like, oh, the Niners have a huge team total. I'll play both of them. I'm gonna get all their points theoretically.
Yeah.
I will say it's a small sample, obviously, because we haven't seen a lot of Brock Purdy, but he does have some home road splits. Like he had 24 DraftKings points on the road against Jacksonville last week, which isn't bad, but historically small
Yeah,
sample,
you're
but
right.
he has thrown more touchdowns at home. So, usually on the road I lean more towards CMC than like a Niners stack, but I don't know. We'll see when I start building my teams.
Looking at the live trends, there's money coming in on the Seahawks to your point right now, and it's moving down to that 6.5. That's a key number, and it's already
Yeah.
moving towards the Seahawks, which is kind of interesting. To say it, be honest.
Yeah, especially
You know?
when there's questions about Geno Smith's health and there's still money coming
Yeah.
in Seattle, but
Okay. Let's go to
all right.
receiver.
Yes. Receiver, obviously CD and St. Brown at the top. Those guys fine in all formats. CD's, I think CD and McCaffrey are going to be where most people go for cash. I don't know if people will try and fit all three. AC, I know you built one before the stream. You said you thought you could fit all three. I don't know if people will do that. I
Yep.
think they'll pick two. St. Brown could be a little bit lower owned here for tournaments. So obviously I'll have some exposure to him. Brandon Ayuk, this is someone Matt and I were like really, really heavy on in season long. And I mean, he's just breaking out like fully. Like the dude is just so good. So at 7K, I doubt like more people will want to play Debo at 59 than Ayuk at 7K, which
That's a
is the
good
same
point.
case last week. More people played Debo than Ayuk, and Ayuk caught a 70-yard touchdown pass. So I think Ayuk is a good tournament play. Seattle guys are fine for tournaments. The spots I'm looking at, like we don't need to dive into like these top end guys, right? Like we know about all these guys. Where it gets interesting is this low tier. So you have like the Washington guys in here. You have the Green Bay guys, and then you have like Smith and the Jigba's there, and then you can go down a little bit farther. So I think this is where you're going to win your tournaments is deciding on these 4 and 5K receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I mean, obviously I'm extremely biased towards Jaden Reed because I think he's very good at football. His routes have been up the last few weeks, and now they have their guy Wicks that they've been playing as their fourth receiver. Looks like he might be out. And Jaden Reed like played a ton of slot snaps last week. So I think Jaden Reed looks good at 42. Christian Watson, you can always take a shot on at 43. Like he does have, he catches one pass and he is going to be optimal on a 3-game slate. So Christian
Mm-hmm.
Watson looks good. Jaden Reed looks good. Brandon Cooks, I think, is fine. If you want to double stack Dak, no issues with that. I think I'd prefer them to JSN, but I don't know. JSN is good too. I don't know. I guess this is tough. This is a tough range. What are your thoughts on that range of receiver?
Yeah, it is tough for sure. I mean, I personally lean JSN at first glance, but I guess, man, I'm a sucker for Curtis Samuel. Like every week, like as a value play, I feel like kind of burnt me in one of my tournament
Yeah.
rosters this past week because he got in a fight. Um,
That never
especially,
happens in the
the
NFL.
I know,
Like, what
just
is this?
like
The NBA? Like, we're throwing people out of games? What the heck is going on here?
I wasn't even tilting because it was like, oh, that's my good GPP. Oh, he's not going to play the whole game now. Okay, so yeah, Samuel. I mean, again, maybe it opens up a little bit more salary than I thought. And you're right, one of these guys is going to unlock the slate somehow because they're going to go for
Yeah,
4 or 5x. You know it. I
100%.
mean, and that's how you're going to have to win the slate. I do again, just my quick cash quote unquote main lineup. I don't say how you don't make a lineup with Brown and Lamb in cash. I like you just sleep better at night and then pick a Samuel or a JSN and like whatever happens else happens. That's kind of what I'm leaning. But yeah, Christian Watson could easily break the slate. You mentioned Reed. I have a ton of him just following you in Discord in best ball. Those teams are all dead because I had Deshaun Watson mostly at all my quarterback position. But it goes to show you like there's playmakers and with AJ or the situation, excuse me, Aaron Jones with the Packers, right? I mean, he's out, or is that just like questionable right now?
Yeah, I just saw he's not expected to play like officially.
I
So
mean, they're gonna have to pass a ton. That's why I like love.
yeah, they're
Man,
gonna
the
be
more I'm thinking
losing
about it,
too.
pun intended, I love this week. And just to go back to quarterback, I like to play. Like the more I'm looking at the slate, I like these
Mhm.
receivers. I just like the value of the Green Bay receivers. It looks like Reed, man, your
Yeah.
baller at 4. I mean, he's always 4K somehow. He
So
just balls out. Watson,
I'll probably have like a stack of that game, and then on a team where I'm not stacking that game, you could just play like if you just put in Gibbs and one of the Packers
yeah.
receivers, then you're set, and then you have room to like you see how they do, and then you have room to swap to literally whatever you want after that game.
Yeah, that's a good call. Damn, I'm gonna end up with 5 tournament rosters now on
I
a
know, that's
3-game
why
slate.
I was planning. I was
I
like, I'm gonna
hate
play
this.
2 or 3 teams, and now I want to play like 5 teams, dude.
So no, it'll be fun. We'll lose 80% of our buy-in and
Probably.
hopefully one hit. So
Yeah,
yeah, other than that,
there
man, I
is a
mean,
cheaper guy we got to talk about. So on the stream last Sunday, I told everyone in the stream, I was like, there's a player that's really, really cheap today that Matt and I like as a pivot off the other guys, and I wouldn't give it out on the stream. Saved it for Discord. Obviously, that was Jameson Williams. He did score a touchdown. He didn't have a huge game, but 12.4 for 3,300. That'll get it done. More importantly, his routes have come way up. So he had a season high in routes 2 weeks ago, coming out of their bye week. And then Dan Campbell, actually for once, normally they just hate on this guy. They actually gave him positive comments to the media. And then he came out against the Bears and he played 40 played 40, ran 40 routes, which is way higher than anyone else other than St. Brown. Khalif Raymond, they basically iced. He only ran 12 or 13 routes. So basically they got rid of Khalif Raymond and they're kind of unleashing Jameson Williams here. He had a touchdown call back 2 weeks ago, got in the box last week. At 3,400 on a 3-game slate, I'm going to be firing up some Jameson Williams. Hopefully he doesn't get too chalky because I could see him being the guy with everyone's like, oh, here's the cheap guy. So then he comes in way higher on than you want. But I like him as of right now.
I like that call a lot. Yeah, I mean, he kind of fits, like I said, my dummy lineup right now. Definitely with the upside. I worry about freaking DPJ lingering in the background there.
Yeah,
Although
so
I think he only had 2 snaps though.
It was his first game, but he really didn't play much at all. And then, like I said, Raymond, he was all the way down to 12 routes. So they basically iced those two, and they were just rolling with Reynolds and St. Brown and Jameson Williams. And then I also want to bring up Jalen Tolbert is 3,100. I don't have his routes pulled up, but I mean, look, Michael Gallup has played horribly all season. And, Jalen Tolbert, I know that these have been blowouts here where he's got 5 targets, but he's got 5 targets in 3 straight games. Obviously, Philly, that was not a blowout. And that was a game where Michael Gallup had a couple drops, so they were going to Jalen Tolbert late. This game could be a blowout, it's a bigger spread. It's a double-digit spread against Washington. So Jalen Tolbert at 3,100, I don't think is the worst tournament play.
I like that. It's a good call.
And he's good at football. Also,
Tolbert, yeah, he does look super shifty out there, without a doubt. And Michael Gallup, why is he even a thing out there still?
I have no idea. He's been horrible all year. All right, tournaments or not tournaments. Tight end, George Kittle, is fine. You're never going to play him in cash, but Seattle, I do feel like you can beat with tight ends. And when George Kittle is the guy, he either gets you 5 points or he gets 30. It's no in between. So if he's going off, he's fine. Laporta didn't do anything last week, but he's a good play. Jake Ferguson continues to just get a ton of red zone work, so you could certainly look at him in tournaments. Those are all tournament plays for me. Cash, I think people will maybe play, I don't know. Musgrave, I could see being popular. Yeah, if he's good to go, I could see him being popular. Or I guess
Thomas. It'll be Logan and Musgrave.
Yeah, Logan, Thomas, and Musgrave probably. So, yeah, for tournaments, Kittle, Laporta, Ferguson, all fine for me. Ferguson would probably be my favorite because you can just use him, play Dak, CD, and Ferguson. I think that's really good. And,
yeah,
I mean, the guy's red zone role is, one of the best in the league for a tight end. So, Ferguson's probably my favorite right now.
I feel ironically enough, just looking at this, I mean, man, is Sam Laporta going to go kind of maybe
overlooked? People won't just because of the price.
Log.
I mean, look at he had dropped in at an 8 and a 6 in back-to-back, but he's definitely fine for sure.
But he could break the slate without a doubt. So that's 100%. Definitely something of interest. All right, last thing, defense. I mean, honest to God, Ben, I'm not even joking. I would probably play the Redskins in my main build if I liked my team a ton. I don't care. I mean,
I don't care about
playing these games.
I'm so done slate like this.
Just Seahawks, I guess, 2,700. I mean, yes, the Cowboys could obviously win the slate.
Yeah, Cowboys would be chalky, I feel like, just because Sam Howell,
Yeah.
But Sam Howell's sack numbers are down the last few weeks. I know he had 5 turnovers or whatever last week, but he is taking less sacks. Lions against the Packers are sneaky. I mean, we know Lions have a very good pass rush, so you could look at them also. Like you could play Gibbs, Lions, and Packers receiver as your only game, early game stuff, and then late swap after you see what happens.
I think that does it. Unless you got anything else, Ben. Obviously, we're going to get to a main podcast later in the week. I know it's a weird week, but we're going to do it up like we always do. We appreciate you guys. And like Ben said, Ben, if you want to go over it again, I mean, again, it's like a free month here essentially of our subscription package.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys for watching the video. Give a like on YouTube. It helps us out. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving, so I am thankful for everybody that watched the videos. DFSkarma.com/thanks if you want to sign up for the 4-day free trial, and then you can keep it on for the month if you want after that. I would recommend you can sign up at any time. It's live now on the site. So if you want to play some NBA DFS up until Thursday, go ahead and do that. But I would recommend signing up Thursday morning so you get all of the NFL action for the week. Like I said, drop a like on the video. Let us know in the comments who you're playing on this Thanksgiving slate, and good luck.